DramaCityProductions.com.
You are plugged in for the Podcast Wrestling Society, where you can get dynamic weekly pro wrestling and MMA-related content. Give us a follow on Facebook, Twitter, and Instagram at PODWRES Society so that you can stay in the know.
Faith is the place, and the sky's the limit.
And if you like what you hear, give us a 5-star review and hit that subscribe button.
Woo! 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 Woo!
Now, your host, he is the one and only Troy Adams.
Grab yourself an apple teeny and curl up with your favorite podcast. It's the Podcast Wrestling Society. I'm your loving leader, benevolent host, Midwest Monster, and I am your addiction, Troy Adams. And joining me today, he is the coolest. And he is the Frankie Kazarian to my Christopher Daniels. He is one bad influence. It's Greg. What up, Greg?
What up? I forgot about the coolest.
Yeah, you remember when it said it on Frankie's tights?
Yep.
That was lame. But
How dare you?
I forgive him because I am a huge mark for Frankie Kazarian. So, and we all know that I have to forgive him, Greg, because I am clearly the authority here.
You went there.
Yeah, I say that, people, because there are so many that's like, well, I don't care anyway. It's like, oh, well, if you don't care.
No one does.
Didn't you say that to somebody at WrestleMania, too?
Yeah, that guy in front of us, remember? He's like, when Ronda was looking good in the match, yeah. I'm impressed. I'm sold. Okay, now I'm good now. Like, oh, thank God.
Yeah, it's like,
please, the one.
Yeah, like, well, as long as you approve, we're all good here.
Yeah.
Oh, man, this is we're here castrating the marks apparently right out the gate, coming in hot. But speaking of coming in,
why not?
Yeah. Well, speaking of coming in hot, before we
PG.
Oh God. Now you're putting negative connotations about it in people's heads. Stop it, Greg.
They were thinking it.
Yeah, given our listeners, they probably were, but regardless. Speaking of which, before we get into house cleaning items and our shilling of our wares, want to say, first of all, this is the day after Christmas, so I hope you all had a very Merry Christmas, and I hope you all decided, if you haven't yet, if you want some late Christmas presents, or if you got some Christmas money, go check out our Spreadshirt store or our Redbubble store. We'll talk about that here in a moment. Before we get into all that, I do want to touch on some house cleaning items for the podcast. Greg and I have had a come to Jesus meeting, or a come to whoever the hell, you pray to meeting. And
go with Jesus.
Wow. You want a cigarette? You want me to light that for you, pal? Go with Jesus. Anyway, but
he's a good guy. He's a good guy.
Yeah. Not racist at all. But anyway, while we're thinking about it, we've talked a little bit about stuff going on. We've looked at our numbers on the podcast and on the YouTube. And first of all of you out there who have been checking out our stuff recently, thank you very much. Episode 13 of the podcast has like over 120 views within a week. That's fantastic. Thank you all. And all of you on YouTube, if you're just listening on YouTube, come hit us up on the actual podcast, man. I post all the links in the description. Follow one of them. Check it out. But anyway, we have decided...
YouTube is easier, I get it.
Yeah, I know. And you don't have to download a special app for it.
You're listening, so that's all.
Yeah, exactly.
That's not me.
Thank you all. But if you are listening and all that on the YouTube, subscribe! All of our content is fantastic, and I know I'm biased, but seriously, it is. Subscribe and click the little bell to stay notified. If you're listening to the podcast, subscribe to that as well, wherever you happen to be listening. And thank you to our, we've actually gotten a few hits on Spotify recently, so that's always nice. But we have decided, looking at our numbers, nobody seems to give a damn about our lists, bro. And it's sad. And it's sad because we have been doing it for so long. Even before we rebooted the podcast and came to Whooshkaa, we have been doing it for a long time, and it's fun, but I have a hard time keeping up with the YouTube sometimes with all of that because I try to, up the quality of the videos, but it's nobody's watching, so why are we wasting our time, basically? It's just basically to, have fun for ourselves, and that's not the point of this podcast, I guess. It is to get listens, believe it or not. So, we are discontinuing the list, bro. So, rest in peace, I guess. Either way, anything you want to say about the list being laid to rest, Greg?
Yeah, it was fun. I'm glad I don't have to think much anymore.
Yeah, because we if there's one thing we hate on this podcast, it's thinking. All right.
It's true.
We don't think. We write crap down, we read it, and we laugh. That's what we do. That's what this show is all
Well, I feel
about.
like that's what makes it fun, though.
Exactly.
Do you want us to read off a piece of paper? That'd be lame.
Yeah, I know. So there you go. That is out the window. We will be sticking to a more formatted format, I guess. Kyle and I will still keep doing the reviews because there are some that I found out they care more about some reviews that Kyle and I do than others. Seemed like not many people cared about Evolution, but they did care about TLC. You know what I'm saying?
Yep.
So it's hit and miss. So we will continue to bring you those, and Greg and I will continue to bring you these type of shows, the look back retrospects. And after 1995, we have a new format for you. We have our next 3 formats already laid out. So, and I'll tell you what, Greg, I'm very much looking forward to them. Should be really fun.
It's gonna be good.
Oh, yeah, but this is only episode 2, or only part 2 of the 1995 retrospect, so we have 7 more to go after this. Hold on to your butts. It will be fun, though. But I just started In Your House 1. God, it just, I'm already 1 match in, and I'm like, does this show be over?
Oh, man.
Oh, man. But I have to suffer through it. Either way. I do have one thing. It's sort of a news story. It's more of rumor/news story I just wanted to discuss with you. We'll cover it in a couple minutes. But real quick, I do want to let you all know about how you can advertise with the podcast and us being on WrestlingWithWrestling.com. If you want to get out to a wider audience, not just on the platforms we're on and with YouTube and everything, but also on the Wrestling with Wrestling website, here's how you can advertise with us, and here's what WrestlingWithWrestling.com can offer to you. Yes, you're advertising with us here at the Podcast Wrestling Society, but thanks to WrestlingWithWrestling.com, our reach is growing every single day. There are plenty of wrestling fans out there that check out WrestlingWithWrestling.com, and from there, they check out this podcast. There's also news and reports and videos and other podcasts, all available on WrestlingWithWrestling.com, covering all 4 corners of the ring. And if you want to know how to advertise with us, we will do spots in the form of 10, 15, 30, 60, and 120 seconds. We will do live reads. We'll take promos, whatever it is you want to advertise. If it is PG, that is, go to advertisecast.com/podcast wrestling society. It's got all of our info and all of our rates, and you can hit us up on AdvertiseCast. And while we're talking about things that we can offer all of you, like I said, it's after the holidays, it's after Christmas, but, New Year's right around the corner, and maybe you want to get yourself something nice. Go to our Redbubble store or our shop.spreadshirt.com store. Even though Hanukkah and Christmas have come and gone, and we're moving right on full steam ahead into the new year, you can spend some of that Christmas or Hanukkah money that you got on some cool swag at Spreadshirt or Redbubble. We've got great designs on anything you want. We've got clothing. We've got accessories. You can get t-shirts, hoodies, hats, buttons, phone cases, tablet cases, mugs, travel mugs, water bottles, tote bags, duffel bags, an assortment of stuff. And if we don't offer it on the stores, either it's not available or you can hit us up and we can try to hook you up in some way, shape, or form. We won't leave you hanging. Hit us up on social media, but definitely check out our 2 stores. It's redbubble.com/people/pod rest society, like the social media, or you can go to shop.spreadshirt.com/podcast-wrestling-society and get the look, bro. And that about wraps it up for the shilling of our wares. There's one news story I wanted to talk to you about, Greg. You want to... I kind of want your... It's more rumor than news because there's... rumor
and innuendo.
Yeah, basically. It's not... Nothing is 100% confirmed. Depends... Like you always... Your favorite quote, well, depending on who you ask. It's not confirmed yet. But, I kind of want to get your opinion on it because it's something that you and I talk about frequently, and I know both of us have... very strong opinions on the matter. I guess I should play our news sounder here real quick. The ring bell, bro. All right, time to get into the news. Just a couple things I wanted to go over. The first, I'll save the big discussion one here for a second. Real quick, Mark Haskins has made his Ring of Honor debut, or I guess he hasn't officially made his Ring of Honor debut yet, but he has signed. And he's booked for a few shows. And Bandito is set to make his Ring of Honor debut in January. So that's cool. Some new talent coming in. Ring of Honor's really been snatching people up. So that's cool to know.
Yeah, people.
Well, I mean, some of them are bigger names in the indies. Some of them, meh. Well, they got the Pirate, so there's that.
Yeah, but when you lose, like, your 4 biggest things, you're going to need like 12 small things to replace them.
Yes, and I will say they didn't exactly have like a groundswell under them of people they can elevate to that level. However, they're trying, and hopefully Ring of Honor turns stuff around real quick and tries to be a more serious contender. I'm not talking to WWE, obviously. That would be dumb. However, I'm hoping that they step it up, and get some more stars going here, besides just, the ones we know about, like Flip Gordon and Jay Lethal and whatever. But the thing I really wanted to talk about, and I'm not seeing, like, actual news stories about it, I've seen things here and there, but apparently, and wait till I get the whole thing out before you say something smart-ass about it, because I know you will. There are 3 options here I'll get to, 3 doors we can open for this story. First part, apparently WWE has made some big deal offers to the Bucks and to Cody. Allegedly, the Cody deal was for like 7 figures, which just blows my mind, because I like Cody, but 7 figures.
That's why I don't believe it.
Yeah. And he is a big star outside of WWE. And the Young Bucks are possibly the biggest stars outside of WWE, or,
even bigger.
Yeah. But apparently, allegedly, they made these offers to those 3, and all 3 of them said, no, we want... Basically, they're saying we want bigger offers if we're going to accept it. I'm like, holy crap. Now, there are 3 doors we can open with this story. 1, it's all false. All of it. 2, it's 100% true. And 3, they're working everybody. Like, part of it's true, part of it's not true.
I honestly think it's number 3.
Yeah. Well, I'm wondering, it's like, did they accept an offer? Not the ones they're talking about, perhaps, but they accepted an offer, and they're just working everybody, and they're going to show up as the Elite and whatever. And apparently it's just going to be those 3. Kenny Omega is still doing his thing over in Japan, and he may stay over there. He may come be with his boys. You never know. Marty Scurll has made it clear he's sticking around in Ring of Honor. And I don't know what the hell Hangman Page is doing. Like, I don't know. If I was the Bucks and Cody, I'd be like, hey, do you want to come with us? And, like, just throw him a bone. It's like, hey, can you bring our little buddy along? I don't know. I don't know. It's and I like Hangman Page. He and Jeff Cobb really, I mean, they tore it up. Final Battle. That was a great match.
Oh yeah,
and
Jeff Cobb is damn good.
Yeah,
I'm a little biased though.
Yeah. Jeff Cobb is great. And I don't think Hangman Page gets the credit he deserves. He's not fantastic, but he's really good. I've always kind of liked the cowboy gimmicks. I don't know. I don't know why. I'm not from the South and have no emotional connection to any of that. But I mean, you and I like James Storm and all that, and I always liked his gimmick. But I don't know. We'll see where it all goes. It's an interesting development in the wrestling world. Either way, it could mean big, huge things for everybody involved. Big league. Already got
coming to WWE. Vince McMahon's paying for it.
Wow. And I bet you're happy that now you will be able to attend the MSG Supercard show, the G1 Supercard show.
That's the plan, as
hopefully.
long as it's not The Rock going into the Hall of Fame.
Yeah.
Or The Undertaker. Those two will make me just skip that altogether.
I heard that if
Square Guard show.
Well, I heard when they put The Undertaker in, they're wanting to put him and Kane in, not together, but like, separately in the same class. You know what I mean? That's just a rumor I've heard, but you never know. And there's a petition going around to get Bulldog into the Hall of Fame, but I don't think Vince McMahon is going to listen to an effing petition. He'll put in who he wants to put in. So either way.
Ooh, a petition.
Yeah.
That's almost as good as those online ones that gets a couple hundred signatures.
Well, I guess Ted DiBiase was like pushing it before Christmas and all this other stuff. But yeah, so I haven't really heard any rumors about who's going in this class. Have you?
Nope. Not a one, actually. It's weird.
Yeah, I know. Usually by now you hear some rumblings, but I don't know. Real quick, just to close out the news segment here right before we go to our first break, UFC has canceled January's 233 card after the main event fails to materialize.
I was pretty ticked because we were going to go to that.
Yeah.
But I'm going to go to the Royal Rumble instead. Well, yeah.
Well,
if my buddy can go with me, and he's probably going to listen to this, and he better make up his damn mind and do the right thing.
Do it. Just do it. But anyway, also Ben Askren versus Robbie Lawler has been rebooked for 235.
Oh, God, Lawler's going to kill him. Askren sucks, man.
I've always heard good things about Robbie Lawler, so...
Robbie Lawler's amazing. Ben Askren's trash. The most boring fighter in history.
Isn't that the one they got for Mighty Mouse?
Yep. God, what a hell of a trade, huh?
Yeah, right. An actual draw for this guy. They essentially dissolved a division to get this guy. Yay. Yep. And apparently, for all of you listening in, and we do have European listeners, so this is for all y'all, UFC is returning to BT Sports in the latest UK-Ireland TV deal. So you can see the UFC. You can see the UFC on BT Sports over there. So good for y'all. Any other UFC stories that I haven't covered? This past weekend was a Fox card.
In a couple of weeks, it's going to be a big thing when it's on ESPN officially. So, I mean, that card's already set though.
Awesome, cool. Looking forward to that. Real quick about the UFC thing. I know we already pimped our merchandise earlier, but if you are a fan of this podcast and of the UFC, we have a UFC logo inspired T-shirt for the Podcast Wrestling Society. Go check it out. shopspreadshirt.com/podcast-wrestling-society. Check it out. It's good.
Good.
Also, real quick, freaking the 4 new WWE Network shows are set to air, or I guess they have aired this week, whatever. Let's see. Christmas Eve, they had a show called The Fashion Files Cold Case Unit. So there was that, if you haven't seen it yet. Christmas Day, see Xavier Woods' show, Xavier's Arcade Challenge. They will be playing retro gaming classic NBA Jam. And then on December 20th.
One of the greatest ever made.
Yeah, it's been a while since I played that. But yeah, it was great when I was a kid. I loved it. Tomorrow is on the 27th. It is a kitchen competition called WWE Kitchen Smackdown. It is it's hosted by Bo Dallas. It will be a cook-off show similar to Iron Chef. It will be Dana Brooke, Alicia Fox, and Curtis Axel in a cook-off.
Because when I think of cook-offs, I think Bo freaking Dallas.
Well, hell yeah. Because when you cook, it helps to leave. All right? The guest judges will be...
Everyone's going to cheers from that one.
Wow. The guest judges will be Ennis Cantor, whoever the hell that is, Noel Foley, giggity, and Mark Henry. Well, I guess if you're going to get... I guess if you're going to get a judge for cooking, you might as well get Mark Henry.
I saw it coming.
I had to. Oh, man. And then to top it all off, Friday, a show called The Botch Club will air. It's hosted by...
I'm intrigued by that.
It's hosted by Carl Anderson and Luke Gallows. It appears to be similar to the popular Botchamania videos. The description reads, Gallows and Anderson watch acrobatic attempts gone awry and take a deep dive into the circumstances behind the infamous Titus World Slide.
Oh, yes.
Not sure I give a damn, but it looks entertaining. I'll say that. So that's that. Anything else you would like to touch on before we go to our break?
No, I'm going to leave that alone. Keep it PG.
Real quick, I see Jeff Cobb was added to the card for Wrestle Kingdom 13. That'll be good. He'll take on Yuji Nagata in a triple threat.
Yuji Nagata still wrestles?
He does, yes.
Good grief.
He's in great shape, too. It will be Jeff Cobb, Yuji Nagata, and David Finlay in a triple threat. Because apparently Jeff Cobb is replacing Michael Elgin, who is out of action with a left knee injury. And he's going to be undergoing surgery.
He's actually trying out for the Toronto Blue Jays.
Wait, are you serious?
No, it was a story a couple years ago. Remember, he was leaving Wander because he was going to go play baseball.
Yeah, because when I think baseball player, I think him. All right, well, now that we're done with all the news and we're 25 minutes deep here with all the stuff that had to be said, it's a new era before the new year. But when we come back, I know Greg has been wringing his hands with anticipation for this one. When we come back, it's WCW Uncensored 1995. Right after we tell you about some great podcasts here besides this one on the Drama City Productions Podcast Network. Are you ready to get uncensored, Greg?
Hell no.
Well, too bad. It's happening right after the break. We'll be right back.
Drama City Productions presents.
Hey, it's Ben here, host of the Regular Stories Podcast, a podcast where I interview interesting people about their lives. These are not celebrities. They're not the elite. These are regular people, and these are their stories. You can follow us on Facebook at Regular Stories and on Instagram at Regular Stories. We are everywhere that you can get a podcast. We are on iTunes, Google Play, Stitcher, TuneIn, just about everywhere else. Look up Regular Stories Podcast.
Drama City Productions.com.
Hey, it's Chris from the Stackcast. Join myself, Christian, and Missy as we bring you all the gaming news you need to know. With our penchant for sarcasm, we're throwing out all the social justice bullshit and are giving you 100% uncensored gaming news and opinion. So follow us down the rabbit hole that is our minds, and may God have mercy on your ears.
We are back from the break, and that means that we are going to dive headfirst into WCW Uncensored 1995, the debut of Uncensored.
Roll Tide.
Hell no. Not in any way, shape, or form, but we will roll crap into this. For those of you who... Oh, go ahead.
No, this pay-per-view, I rewatched it again and just, wow, this pay-per-view happened. This really happened.
It did. It was like a train wreck that you couldn't look away from. You were just like, you want to see everything explode in the end, and, well, it was more of an implosion, but thank God WCW managed to recover from this, and from the Uncensored the following year. We're going to cover this as best as we can here again on the podcast, but if you want a deeper dive in our initial thoughts after watching the damn thing, because I refused to watch this again. I was like, I've watched it. I know about it. I'm not watching it again. I can't put myself mentally through that. But
Twitter.
Yeah. So if you want a deeper dive after I initially watched it, go to our YouTube channel. It is in the archives in the reviews playlist, so check that out. We also review Uncensored 1996, so if you really want to torture yourself, check it out. Or don't, but please do. This event...
But I will understand if you don't.
Yeah. This event took place March 19th, 1995, in the historic, world-famous Tupelo Coliseum in Tupelo, Mississippi. Because when I think uncensored, down and dirty, I think Tupelo, Mississippi. The attendance was 5,782 people. Poor, unfortunate souls. Jam-packed into this damn arena. Oh, God. See, a lot of people get this one confused with next year's. See, next year's is the one with the triple Doomsday cage. This one is really bad, but it's not the triple Doomsday cage. Oh, God.
The fact that you just said that, it's like, wow, there's another one that exists.
Yeah, I know. From what I read, was 97's was better, wasn't it?
I mean, I don't know.
It can only go up from here, I guess.
I want to say yes by default. How about that?
Nice. I've never seen it.
Yes, with an asterisk.
Well, this is this. I did watch WrestleMania 11 all the way through, and I rated the matches myself. This one, I refused to watch it again, like I said, so I went off of Uncle Dave's ratings.
Well, of course you did.
Oh, of course. Well, they're the only ones out there, so we'll go off of them. The opening match. This sets the tone for the whole show. This opening contest. It is the Blacktop Bully versus Dustin Rhodes in a King of the Road match. Going off of Wikipedia here, the King of the Road match took place in the caged-off trailer of the Blacktop Bully's 18-wheeler truck as it was driven, supposedly, around nearby roads. But it wasn't. We'll get to that in a minute.
Yeah. No, I want to get to it now. This is epic.
Well, the object of the match was to climb to the top of the trailer's cage and sound a horn positioned there. First of all, about this cage. These guys are over 6 feet tall, and this chicken wire fence cage thing was like 6'5", I'd say, maybe 6'7". So they could have reached up and got this thing, but they had to make it look difficult to climb it. I realize they're going down the side of they're going down the road, but god dang, how incompetent are they? And they had hay and hay bales all over the place at one point.
Hell yeah, why wouldn't you?
I don't, you know what, that's a good question. At one point, Bobby Heenan on commentary made a comment about the back of that truck smells like Dusty Rhodes' living room.
Yeah.
It was something.
Ah.
But Bully sounded the horn for the win. WC. This match was actually taped.
Yeah, what a win it was.
Oh, yeah. And they set off a ton of pyro back in the arena when he won. Like he just won the Royal Rumble and he was going to WrestleMania. That was the most hilarious part about it. I think they were setting off pyro in celebration that this damn thing was over. But regardless, this match was actually taped days earlier outside of Atlanta, Georgia, and was heavily edited due to WCW's strict no bleeding policy at the time.
And yet it still came out like that.
Oh, yeah. Dustin Rhodes and Blacktop Bully were fired for blading during this match. They were blading during this match. Like, whatever happened to pick your spots, brother? Like, don't blade just to blade. Like, this match was not made any better or worse because of blood. Nobody gave a damn. They fought on the back of a freaking semi-trailer.
I think it resulted in a couple of firings too, didn't it?
Yeah, I just mentioned Dustin Rhodes and Bully were fired.
I mean, a couple more. I mean,
no, well,
I think,
there was one more. There was Mike Graham was fired. He was the agent for the match, and apparently he had suggested to them. Yeah. He, for all of you that want to know who Mike Graham is, look him up on YouTube. Mike Graham never drew a dime, and it's him talking about multiple people who, in his opinion, never drew a dime. It's fantastic. It's a great montage. My favorite was Jeff Jarrett when he said, "Smashed 1,000 guitars, never drew a dime."
Yeah, but you know, and in all due respect to the deceased, because you know he drew a lot of dimes in his day, right?
Exactly, Mike.
I mean, I know
freaking Graham.
I know. Whenever I went to the Coliseum of the Cow Palace, and it was like, I hope Mike Graham's on this card.
Yeah, Mike Graham versus Boris Zukov, main event.
Anywhere in the country.
Exactly. I threw out Boris Zukov because it's the most obscure name I could think of. But anyway.
And you had to pick someone else who's passed away. You could have picked another name.
Is he dead?
Sure.
I didn't know that.
Yeah.
Well, my condolences, I guess. But either way. Total time for this match, 13 minutes, 6 seconds. Because we needed almost a quarter of an hour for this crap.
Oh, man.
Yep. Well, Uncle Dave gave this match -2 stars.
Well, it's your gospel, so.
What do you mean, mine?
Nothing.
Yeah, because I follow him religiously.
You quote him a lot.
I don't quote Dave. What are you... God. What are you on tonight? Are you smoking something that I don't know about? Wow. We'll get to LT later. Anyway.
Oh, God, we will.
Well, wait, okay. Let's say you were to rate this match. What would you give it?
Half a star.
Wow, you'd actually give it a positive rating?
Okay.
Okay.
The announcing was funny.
It was, but, I mean, you have to do something to entertain yourself when this is going on. Speaking of, man, it just doesn't get any better, does it? This next thing, it
can?
Well, it won't.
Be positive. It might.
No, it won't. Just a warning. Next, we got Meng with Colonel Robert Parker versus Jim Duggan in a... I can't believe these words can actually leave my mouth, but they are in a martial arts match with Sonny Ono. With Sonny Ono as the special guest referee.
Uncensored.
Yeah.
Anything goes.
A martial arts match between the Samoan and the American football player guy. Okay. Well, I used Wikipedia for that last match. This one, I couldn't find a description for it on there, so I used this website I got to credit them. Wrestling 20, it's supposed to be years, but it's YRS.com. So go check them out for some funny stuff here. But what they said was what Jim Duggan thought when he heard martial arts match that made him choose ripped jeans and a ripped sleeveless tee. I have no idea. But Duggan pre-match at least was an absolute riot, acting like a drunk uncle at a wedding with his refusal to comply with the referee's orders.
So he was just Jim Duggan.
Basically, yeah. And he was a complete dick to the referee who did nothing heelish to him at all. So he was just a dick of a babyface. Meng, which, okay, this is something that's always annoyed the hell out of me. His name is M-E-N-J. Meng. They don't call him that. They call him Ming. Like with an I. Like, what the hell?
Maybe it's like a Tongan thing.
I don't know. But he's supposed to be the Tongan Japanese martial arts guy. I don't know. But either way, I'll call him whatever he wants me to call him because according to everybody, he can ruin your day.
Yep.
But Meng, for what it's worth, sported some nice Oriental entrance wear, but one that probably cheapened his overall look. Once the match began, it turned to death very, very quickly. Duggan was laid out right at the start by a savate kick from Meng. That, in all honesty, should have been that. Meng gained nothing from wrestling in a horrible, stupid match that bared little resemblance to the martial arts concept beyond the referee's unique method of counting a pinfall. Are there even pinfalls in martial arts? Meng eventually wins after Duggan gets distracted by Parker. 7 minutes, 4 seconds. I think
this was a classic.
Classic turd. 7 minutes and 4 seconds was the total runtime. I think that's 7 seconds too long. Or 7 minutes too long. Again, 2 matches in a row. Uncle Dave gives it -2 stars. What do you think? You think that's right on the money?
This one was pretty bad, yeah.
This was effing brutal. It was just bad from the get-go. And at one point, freaking the babyface again, Jim Duggan, takes off his boot and beats Meng with it.
Yeah.
But he doesn't get disqualified because it's uncensored. That's the only way you
can stop him.
Yeah, by beating him with your boot. And he doesn't get disqualified because it's uncensored. However, then that begs...
And yet, in that first match, a lot of stuff was censored, huh?
Yeah. But I also have to ask, then what the hell are the rules of a martial arts match?
I think you kick him and get a point, right?
They never specified. They never did say. They just kind of like left it up to us to know what the hell they're talking about. And what the hell do points matter? He won via pinfall. Dumb.
Don't question it.
Dumb. That's what it is.
See, you clearly didn't watch it again. You don't appreciate the match.
No, I didn't watch it again because this was
a
brutal.
Masterpiece.
The first time I watched this match, I wanted to put my head through the wall. Crap.
Who booked this crap?
The booking committee. We'll blame them. That's what Tony Schiavone always does. This next match doesn't get much better. It gets a little better, but not much. Arn Anderson with Colonel Robert Parker. Yeah, it's him again. Taking on Johnny B. Bad. Yeah. We see a lot of Colonel Robert Parker in 95, so he is synonymous with one of the worst years in wrestling history.
Hand in hand.
Yeah, right. He is taking on Johnny B. Bad with Rock Finnegan in his corner.
Hell yeah.
Apparently that is Johnny's boxing coach. This is a boxer versus wrestler match.
Yeah, and it was... Yeah.
So I assume, because they don't exactly, again, the rules are never fully laid out before a match by anyone. I assume that the rules for this were that Johnny had to fight while Arn had to wrestle.
Yes. Right.
Okay.
That was the whole build up to it.
But it was uncensored. And we will get to that.
I'm sorry, just thinking about it.
I'm going back to Wikipedia for this one. The boxer versus wrestler match between Johnny B. Bad and Arn Anderson was billed as having 10 3-minute rounds with a rest period of 1 minute between rounds. Anderson's WCW television title was not on the line. That will be a common thread through this entire event. Remember that. Or don't. The rules stated...
Well, it's uncensored, unsanctioned, anything goes. No titles on the line.
Yeah, no titles. 3 champions had matches this night. None of them defended their belt. None.
And it was not a situation either where like, oh, the world champions in a tag match. Nope, it could have been on the line.
Yep. And here I guess I don't recall. Did they actually say the rules in the event? Because I don't remember that.
I remember them talking about building up to the event. I don't particularly remember during the event.
Because
they might have.
Because I guess the Wikipedia says the rules stated that Anderson, who was quote the wrestler, could win by pinfall or submission, and Johnny B. Bad, as quote the boxer, could only win via knockout.
Right.
Okay. Well, Johnny wins. Or correct? Yes. Johnny wins via knockout when he puts a bucket over Arn's head and punches it. Uncensored.
And they have the nerve to knock Doink the Clown.
Yep. Man, he didn't even do silly crap like that. But, well, I mean, here's the thing. Why didn't he get disqualified?
Uncensored.
Yeah, and nonsensical. The match ends 22 seconds into the 4th round. Uncle Dave actually liked this one. He gave it 2.5 stars. Okay. I think he vastly overrated it, but okay.
He liked this one more than that last one.
Yeah. Both sucked. I will say this sucked slightly less, but it was a dumb concept, and I don't believe we ever saw this ever again. Mercifully. It went to Wrestling Hell along with the Kennel from Hell match.
You know what sucks, though? All these matches have some decent talent in it.
You're not wrong.
It's just, wow.
Yep. Just this is really what happens when the booker gets like gimmick crazy and just craps everything up. This next one, I'm going to go off of Wikipedia and Wrestling20years.com, is Randy Savage versus Avalanche. And like you just said about great talent, Randy Savage, and I mean, Avalanche is not bad for a big guy. He's not great, but you know, for those of you that aren't aware, Avalanche is Earthquake, John Tenta, Golga, the Shark, whatever the hell you want to call him. Despite the event being billed as no rules, the Avalanche wins via the Avalanche loses when he is disqualified in his match against Randy Savage after a, quote, fan attacked Savage. The fan turned out to...
Let's talk about the fan, please.
Yeah. I'll get to this part in a bit. That was from Wikipedia. From Wrestling20years.com, it said, the first actual wrestling match on the show, and if I told you Avalanche dominated large parts of it, it will probably be an indication of how good it was. Ultimately, Avalanche would end up being attacked by, well, they got it wrong. Avalanche was not attacked. It was Randy Savage that was attacked by a woman at ringside. That woman was Ric Flair in drag. Yes.
You're damn right.
Ric Flair. He went all out, wig, dress, lipstick, and eyeliner, mascara, everything.
He couldn't just wear a mask. Why?
I don't know.
Because it's uncensored, pal.
Yeah, and this match is thrown out Macho is Avalanche is DQ'd. And a show called Uncensored.
You guys haven't seen this match, go watch it. It's something just for Ric Flair alone in the dress. You need to see this.
Well, that's not the end of Rick for the night. We'll get to that. And the beatdown continues until Hulk Hogan runs out to make the save, and then the referee calls for the DQ, and Savage wins. Total time, 11 minutes, 44 seconds. Uncle Dave gave it 1 1/4 star. So, below average. I thought it was okay. Up until that weird-ass ending, it was okay.
Man. Just reminding myself again about how bad this was. I watched it a couple days ago and prepped for this. Just, wow.
I pity you. Well, this next one is a weird one, and we'll get into the reasons why. Not because of a stipulation, but for other reasons. It's Big Bubba Rogers versus Sting. This was after Big Bubba was the boss and the Guardian Angel, and then WCW got sued because that was too similar to the Big Boss Man, so they just made him Big Bubba Rogers again. And
it makes you wonder why they just do that to begin with.
Yeah, I don't get it. Like, look, we know you were here before, and you had a pretty good run as Big Bubba, but we like your WWF stuff better, so we're going to rip it off wholesale. It's just, okay. Calling him the boss just made me laugh. Did you ever hear, sidebar real quick, that Andre the Giant did not like him being called the Big Boss Man?
Yeah.
He was rather offended because he was the boss. But I guess Boss Man was so likable that Andre just kind of got over it. Well, going back to Wrestling20years.com, it says, the first and only properly decent wrestling match on the card. Sting injures his knee going for a leapfrog, and that forms the basis for the rest of the match, which basically involves Bubba working Sting's knee. Sting rallies, even going for a splash, but Bubba kicks out. Eventually, Sting goes for a body slam, but buckles under the weight, and surprisingly, Big Bubba effing Rogers picks up a clean victory over Sting.
Yeah.
Look,
I remember watching this as a kid, and I was like, what?
Look, I like Ray Traylor's work, okay? And I was a fan, not necessarily of Big Bubba Rogers, but of Big Boss Man. But what the hell is going on when he just picks up a clean win over Sting? What the hell?
Maybe they're going all out with him.
Did they?
No, maybe they thought they were going to.
Yeah.
I'm just trying to make sense of it.
No sense can be made. 13 minutes, 43 seconds. One of the better matches on the card. Uncle Dave gave it 1.5 stars. Or, excuse me, 2.5 stars. So, about average. It was what it was. It was okay. It was good. Ish.
It was good.
It was probably the least weird thing on the whole show. And that's saying something when Big Bubba beating Sting clean is not the weirdest thing you're going to see tonight.
Oh, it gets better, too.
Oh, yeah. We've got 2 more matches to go. This next one, the Nasty Boys versus the Harlem Heat with Sister Sherry. Harlem Heat's WCW Tag Team titles, as we mentioned earlier, are not on the line.
Well, why would they be?
Exactly. Because you can't exchange titles in a Falls Count Anywhere Texas Tornado Tag Team match on Uncensored. That just goes against everything that we built this company on.
Oh, my God.
This is happening, by the way, 1 month after, if you guys remember our last podcast, the Nasty Boys thought they won the world tag titles. No! They got disqualified for throwing Booker T out of the ring over the top rope, which is apparently...
And so they get rewarded with a rematch that's non-title.
Yep. This was weird. Well, let's just run down what the hell happened, I guess. The Nasty Boys and Harlem Heat ended up in the concession stands, where the participants attacked each other with cotton candy, soft drinks, and other nearby objects. That comes from Wikipedia. According to Wrestling20years.com, it says a gimmick concession stand, a cornered-off gimmicked concession stand, that formed the basis for the Falls Count Anywhere matches. Both teams were funneled down the aisleway towards the stage area with a concession stand with no customers or servicers. So apparently they saw this one coming. Here, both teams...
We all did.
Both teams went to work on a piece of flooring that quickly became an ice rink once the drinks and other items had been used. After both members of the Heat had been covered in mustard, Knobbs hit a body slam for a 3 count. You heard right.
Yeah, this really happened. They really had mustard was involved.
For good measure, Sags...
And just before you wonder, it was uncensored. They did not censor the mustard.
Oh, well, yeah, it had to be yellow, though. It couldn't be red, or that, no buys for that one. For good measure, Sags pushed Sherry across the floor, who loses her footing and slams hard into the ground. An absolute mess of a match that was almost comedic once they got to the concessions area. An indictment of WCW's issues at this stage that they couldn't use anything with any actual violence. 8 minutes, 43 seconds.
Yeah, it was. The commentary was fun, I'll tell you that.
It's a little funny that this match had a team called the Nasty Boys in it, because this match was nasty. And by nasty, I mean horrible. Uncle Dave gave it 2.5 stars, so he said it was average.
If I remember right, this was the highest rated match, I believe, wasn't it?
No, actually, the main event was. Oddly enough.
But the main event's garbage.
It's Uncle Dave, man. So
it was also garbage. Okay.
Wow. Let's get into it, I guess. Hulk Hogan versus Vader. Hulk Hogan had someone in his corner. We'll get to that in a minute. It is a leather strap match. God, because so Vader can't escape, even though he did. Hulk Hogan's WCW title was not on the line.
Because why would it be?
Exactly. Before the pay-per-view, Hulk Hogan's manager Jimmy Hart was kidnapped and tied up at an undisclosed location by Vader and Ric Flair. During the match, Jimmy Hart escaped and joined the Ultimate Surprise, who turned out to be the Renegade.
Hell
ringside.
Yeah.
He was there for his buddy Hulk, because we know the long storied history between Hulk Hogan and the Renegade.
It goes back 3 whole weeks, I believe.
Yeah. During the match, a masked man appears and attacks Renegade before returning to the back. Why, I don't know. Hogan was then given the win over Vader when he dragged an interfering Ric Flair and touched all 4 turnbuckles, despite Flair not being the legal opponent in the match.
There were also a couple of pin attempts in this match, too.
Yeah.
And the referee did, in fact, count.
Because nobody knows what's going on. After the match, a masked man appeared again, seemingly siding with Vader and Flair before unmasking to reveal himself as the Macho Man, Randy Savage, and embracing Hogan.
Oh, swerve, bro.
Oh, yeah, swerve before the Swerve Master came, man. But he embraced Hogan, Renegade, and Hart. Savage had tied up the first masked man backstage, who was revealed to be Arn Anderson. Swerve.
Not
bro.
Ed Leslie.
Nope. Weird. Well, it couldn't be Ed Leslie, because he had his face smashed at the previous month's pay-per-view, I guess, or 2 months ago. I don't know. I don't know what was going on in WCW in this time frame. It was bad.
Well, look at this. Man, clearly WCW didn't know what was going on in WCW.
Blame it on the booking committee, pal. This match went for 18 minutes and 21 seconds. It's a long time to drag this crap out. Uncle Dave...
Man, they literally dragged.
Yeah, they did. Uncle Dave gave it 3.5 stars. What the hell? Weed wasn't even legal in Cali back then.
Doesn't mean he didn't do it.
I guess, well, that is true. Just what the hell? He has some weird standards for match. I just think he has a hard-on for Vader. Whatever. I mean, God rest his soul, but seriously. He was a Japanese guy, so, I mean... That's
true.
Not by birth, but by fame.
So 8 stars in the Tokyo Dome.
God. You're not wrong. Well, he would have at least doubled it, so it would have been, a good 7-star match over there. But yeah, so anyway, that was that. Any closing comments about Uncensored before we move on to our next crap?
Yeah, go watch it. It's
or
3
don't.
hours of your life. Yeah,
you'll never ever get it back.
I'm sitting here wasting your life. I'm sorry.
And if you want to
go watch it.
Yeah. And if you want a different take on the first time I watched this junk, go to our YouTube channel. Like I said, it's in the reviews section. It's something. Go check it out, I guess.
Word.
But we're going to take another quick break right here. When we come back, we're going to the WWF side. We're switching it up this week. WCW first and then WWF. This next show is actually better than Uncensored. When you're comparing it to what Uncensored was, this next show is a masterpiece. But it's not good. I'll just say that. And it's one of Greg's personally most hated events ever, I believe.
It's up there.
When we come back, diving into WrestleMania 11 after we tell you about some great other podcasts besides this one right here on the Drama City Productions Podcast Network.
Drama City Productions.com.
Hey folks, Brandon Fisher here, the host of Sack 'em Up Sundays, the newest comedy podcast to be put on the Drama City Productions Network. Tune in each week as we get really stupid talking about things we know absolutely nothing about. From politics to true crime, movies, to hypothetical questions that go absolutely nowhere. Each episode is filled with at least an hour of hilarious and super offensive content. So join myself and my co-host Dipsy D each week as we get real, talking about absolutely nothing. You can find us at iTunes, Podbean, CastBox, and pretty much anywhere podcasts are available. Also, be sure to follow us on Twitter at EM_SAC to keep yourself updated on shows or to drop us ideas for things to talk about. We're always looking for things to discuss.
And we are back and in full swing for WrestleMania. Are you ready for this, Greg?
Hell yeah.
I have to start off by saying, I'm going to read a couple because I have final conclusions, but some of them I need to read now. You and I have mentioned stuff like this before where we said this felt like an episode of Raw, basically.
Yeah.
This event...
Exactly what I say about it.
Yeah. Think about this. This event clocked in, and I realize not, factoring in for commercial breaks that Raw has, which, if you take those out, it makes it shorter. However, how long was Raw in 95? Was it 1 hour or 2?
1.
1? Okay. Well, I guess this was an extended episode of Raw then. WrestleMania clocked in at 2 hours, 25 minutes, 26 seconds. That's insane. And I realized, okay, I'll add in an extra 10 minutes because they cut out the performance by Salt and Peppa, which, broke my heart.
There was actually 2 performances they cut out, yeah.
They
from them.
Really?
Yeah.
Oh, I did not know that. Well, either way. So I'll factor in an extra 10 minutes. Yeah, I'll say. Still, 2.5 hours for WrestleMania? It's like 7 hours now. What the hell?
Oh, they packed a lot of content in.
Yeah, sure they did. Let's just get into it. WrestleMania 11.
No! We're going to do it.
Yes, have to, Greg. WrestleMania 11 took place from the Hartford Civic Center in Hartford, Connecticut because, that's a WrestleMania venue. April 2nd, 1995, the attendance was only 16,305, which is, I guess, respectable, but, by today's standards, that's like a microscopic audience for WrestleMania.
Well, it took place in like a small venue in Connecticut, I believe.
Yeah, it did. Yeah, Hartford Civic Center. Yeah, it just, which, it was packed, but it was the Hartford Civic Center for WrestleMania.
Oh, they got to keep it local.
Yeah. From what Bruce Pritchard said, it was like more of a, Vince wanted to stay home kind of thing. It's like, well, we have a base in Connecticut. Like, I guess. They start off by showing all the celebrities that are, quote, starring in the show. Like, and these are in order, Pamela Anderson, Jonathan Taylor Thomas, Jenny McCarthy, Nicholas Turturro, Salt and Peppa, who are rubbing up against Bret Hart shirtless, and Lawrence Taylor's All-Pro Team.
Yeah, featuring a future Four Horsemen.
Yeah, I like that. Before he was ever on WCW television, Steve Mongo McMichael was at WrestleMania. Some random woman.
I think he might be the first guy to be at WrestleMania and at Starrcade.
Perhaps. Well, yeah, he was.
That's a hell of a stat, huh?
Yeah, frickin' Mongo. Oh man, he was an entity unto himself. Anyway, some random woman opens up singing "America the Beautiful." I apologize if I got this wrong, but I think she's involved with the Special Olympics. That's what I got out of it.
I think she might have been blind, actually. I think.
Oh, I think she was, but they were showing clips of like the Special Olympics and stuff behind her, so I assume had something to do with that. I could be wrong. I don't know. Either way, so they do that. This is back when WrestleMania actually used to open with America the Beautiful. And then we get into our first match. Boy, was it a good one, I guess. It was the Allied Powers, who, for those of you that don't know, was Lex Luger and the British Bulldog. They took on the Blue Brothers, Eli and Jacob Blue, to be known in the future as the Harris Brothers, Skull and 8-Ball.
Yeah, a whole bunch of names, yeah.
Yeah, and what were they? Gerald and Patrick in WCW.
Creative Control, yes.
Yeah. They were accompanied to the ring by Uncle Zebekiah. For those of you that don't know, is Dirty Dutch Mantel, or what was his name? Zeb Coulter. That's it. The
Dirty Dutch.
Oh yeah. And that mustache, man, was epic. I didn't put that in my notes, but it had to be said. The Luger Bulldog team is they come out to a weird remix of Bulldog's theme with some rock music playing. The match.
Well, it was Luger's theme.
Oh, it was
actually Luger's theme with Bulldog's Rule Britannia in it.
Ah, well, I mean, it sounded cool, and the team looked cool. They were not cool.
They must pose.
They did. We'll get to that here in just a moment. The match ends with the Blue Brothers going for a powerbomb on Luger, but Bulldog jumps off the top rope for a sunset flip on the one trying to give the powerbomb. It looked weird, but he got the win off of a sunset flip. Ton of fireworks go off afterwards. They pose for like 5 minutes. This match went for 6 minutes and 34 seconds, by the way. I said it was a solid match, but it was below average. Nothing like blown. It just, who the hell cared? And Vince McMahon made mention, I have a feeling that this team is going to team together for a long, long time. And I think you mentioned they were together for like 3 weeks.
Something like that, yeah.
So, way to go, Vince. I gave this 1.5 Uncle Daves. I think that sounds about right. Yeah, below average. But then they send the camera back to Nicholas Turturro in what was supposed to be Pamela Anderson's locker room. It was not. They're not getting audio from Nick, who is actually in, I guess, the green room. Jenny McCarthy comes up to him. There's no sound. They just cut away after a while. After they just give up on it and bail. That was...
Did that with the whole event.
Yeah, that was a sign of things to come. After a 6.5-minute match to open up the show, they blow off a ton of pyro for the winner, and then they go to that. By the way, both of these events, opening match, somebody wins, let's blow the pyro, guys. Like, it's the opening match. Calm down. But the audio...
Why would you want pyro for the Allied Powers, man? Come on.
You know what? You make a good point. The audio problems continue as they send it back to the 1-2-3 Kid doing the talking for Razor Ramon. Why, I don't know. Because, if you're going to have anybody talk for Razor Ramon, it's got to be Sean Waltman. Not saying...
Well, before he had his chain-smoking voice.
Yeah. Well, not saying that, Waltman was a bad promo, but it's Scott freaking Hall. Come on, guys. Either way, we can barely hear what the hell he's even saying because the audio is just, it sucks. Whoever the audio guy was, I hope they fired him.
Well, throughout the night, trying to play up the heel of Jerry Lawler, Vince McMahon's like, Jerry Lawler's been wreaking havoc on our audio equipment here.
Yeah, that's
Lawler's
it.
Playing it up like, oh, yeah, I'm doing it because I'm mad at you.
I wish he would have wreaked havoc on Vince McMahon's mic and shut him the hell up. His continuation of what I said last month, his commentary was brutal. Bad. Just bad. But we get a rematch from 2 months before. It was Jeff Jarrett now defending the Intercontinental title against Razor Ramon. Jarrett had the roadie in his corner. Razor had 1-2-3 Kid in his. Razor is wearing like a baby blue attire that outside of this match, I don't know if I've ever seen him wear that before. And the Kid is in some weird black kimono with a dragon on it.
Yep.
I guess to let everybody know that he knows karate.
Karate.
Razor.
Karate.
Wow. He doesn't know karate, but he knows crazy. Razor rushes in and beats up Jarrett before posing, and then the pyro goes off. Let me beat him up first, then shoot off the pyro. This happens once again later in the night with the Click. We'll get to it. Razor gets Jarrett up for the Razor's Edge, and Rhodey comes in and chop blocks him, leading to a disqualification. The 1-2-3 Kid then gets in and hits him with a spin kick, hits one on Rhodey and then Jarrett. They double team him after that, and then beat the crap out of him. Jarrett locks him in the figure 4, and finally Razor gets up and breaks it up. Jarrett may have broken his nose because he's bleeding like crazy from it. Do you remember that?
Of course.
He had a ton of blood coming out of his nose. I don't know. I was just like, what the hell happened? Because I don't remember it. I mean, unless Kid legit kicked him in the face, which is entirely possible. I said, you disagree with me, but you're wrong. I said this was much better than their Royal Rumble match.
Yeah, no.
I gave it 2.5 Uncle Daves. It lasted for 13.5 minutes.
I don't understand why the IC title match ends in a DQ at WrestleMania.
Because further evidence of what we were saying, it was an extended episode of Raw that they just slapped the WrestleMania logo on. But now, take 2! Send it back to Nick Turturro. He's backstage.
Real quick, a real fun fact, if you think about it. Every person in that match was either part of DX or the NWO at one point.
Wow, you're right. That's, yeah, that's crazy.
They'd all go on to do some decent stuff, so.
And not in this company. Oh, well, I'm sorry, the roadie did.
Right.
I guess Jarrett did, kind of.
Jarrett was also in the Horseman.
Oh, God. Who remembers that besides you? Anyway, yeah, let's take 2 to the back. Nick Turturro is backstage again in the green room. He says he can't find Pamela Anderson, so he's just hanging out in the green room. Then Jenny McCarthy comes up, and then Shawn Michaels grabs the mic and says Pam is with him, and he's going to be the WWF champion tonight. And then Sid cuts a crazy psycho promo, because apparently Sid's going to be in his corner tonight. So there's that.
Bodyguard.
Yep. By the way, spoilers, they kept talking about Pam Anderson all night. The show is starring Pam Anderson. We see her one time, and she says nothing. She's the star of the show. Ah, that's WrestleMania 11 for you. And this match, this next match.
She makes her presence known.
Yeah, well, so do the girls. Anyway, this next match, oh my gosh, remembered fondly. It's King Kong Bundy with Ted DiBiase versus The Undertaker with Paul Bearer. Ooh,
Not one of
boy.
his better WrestleMania matches.
What are you talking about? He's facing he's facing the walking condominium.
You're right. I'm sorry. I take it back.
The man
It was epic.
The man who looks like Humpty Dumpty in a singlet. He's giant, white, round, and he shaves his eyebrows. You don't get much more intimidating than that.
Yeah, he could be wearing just a singlet. That'd be intimidating. I mean, just
Suspenders?
tights. No singlet.
Oh, God. Let's not talk about that, please.
Well, you asked how I can get more.
I guess.
All I can think of.
Yeah. Here we go. The Undertaker randomly takes possession of the urn back from DiBiase after like 2 minutes into the match. DiBiase then walks away up the ramp. I thought he was just like dejected and he was leaving, but no. Kama comes out for Ted and takes the urn back from Paul Bearer. He picked on little Paul. Then Kama gets grabbed by the Undertaker, and then Taker gets attacked by Bundy. Kama then takes off, and Kama tells... For those of you that don't know, Jim Ross was like doing interviews with people as they were leaving all night, like up at the top of the ramp. And Kama tells Jim Ross that he's going to melt down the urn and wear it as a chain around his neck. That was epic. By the way, for those of you that are keeping up with the Christmas watch-alongs on YouTube this week, we make reference to this in one of those. Stay tuned.
Yeah.
Undertaker.
He said stay tuned. Oh, my God.
Yeah. Hashtag stay tuned. Undertaker body slams Bundy and then wins with a flying clothesline. Bundy then rolls out, no-sells it, and walks out like with DiBiase like he's just perfectly fine, even though he was just down for a 3 count. Okay.
Oh, yeah.
My final conclusions of the match, I said not as bad as I think others say it is, but it is definitely not good. Too much BS going on. That's all I know. I gave it 1.5 Uncle Dave's. Maybe
one of the worst Undertaker matches I've ever seen in my life.
Yeah, but I mean, by default, it's better than him versus Giant Gonzalez ever. Right?
I guess. But...
You don't think it's better than that? Oh, man.
Well, which one are we talking about? I mean,
all of them.
Oh, then yeah.
6.5 minutes this went. I forgot to mention this. Uncle Dave gave it a 0.5 star. So.
Wow, that's generous.
Yeah. That opening tag, he also gave a 0.5 star. I don't think it was that damn bad. Like, good Lord. And then Razor versus Jarrett, he gave 2 3/4 stars. So that's the only one he actually rated it higher than I did. Oy. He's seeing something I'm not there. All right. Here we go. Nick Turturro is backstage again in front of Pamela Anderson's locker room. He says that her and Shawn Michaels had a blow up, and she's now upset. Whatever. A bunch of football players come up, and Steve Mongo McMichaels calls out Kama and actually cuts a pretty good promo. That's one of the only things I could ever say good about Mongo, is he was a decent promo guy. And then another football player whose name escapes me calls out Tatanka and calls him the cigar store Indian.
Yeah.
And then calls him...
That was Chris Spielman.
Oh, okay. Yeah, he calls him that, and then he calls him Tonka Toy. Oh, it was great. Good stuff.
That's not racist at all.
Hell no. And then we get more Nick Turturro, because that's what this event needs to really spice it up. What was his name in The Longest Yard? Do you remember?
Brucey.
Brucey. God, yes. What was the show he was promoting here? He was on
NYPD Blue.
Yeah. God. That's the most 90s thing ever, like this show. Speaking of the most 90s thing ever, he goes into a dark room and finds Bob Backlund playing chess with a little boy.
Because that's not creepy.
Nope. It's Jonathan Taylor Thomas, who is wearing a tuxedo. Because you gotta rent a tux for WrestleMania. He asks if they've heard that Pamela Anderson is missing. Jonathan Taylor Thomas looks confused as hell. Backlund then shouts out how you people with cameras are what's wrong with the world today, and says, "Who's Pam Anderson?" Oh, I love that. Jonathan Taylor Thomas then gets a checkmate, and Backlund says, "That's what's wrong with society today, all these young people taking advantage of their elders." He then quizzes Jonathan Taylor Thomas on random things, and JTT gets all of the answers right. Backlund then storms off in a huff. This segment was effing weird.
What's wrong with the world?
I just... So much going on to talk about here. Backlund's a madman. This segment was weird. Whatever. Anyway. Next up, we get the Smoking Guns defending their tag team titles against Owen Hart and a mystery partner. While Owen was trying to introduce his partner, Vince and King wouldn't shut the hell up. They just talked the whole time over Owen's promo. And he introduces his partner, who is, and I hate to, speak ill of the dead here, but seriously, the massive Yokozuna. He was large and in charge at this point, more so than before.
Not as much as Heroes of Wrestling, but...
No, that was ridiculous, but still big. And he comes out with Jim Cornette and Mr. Fuji. Man, Jim Cornette came out, and this event instantly got better.
Mother effer. Should have came out of a box.
Should I have come out of a box? It would have been a big box. Oh, it's a big ass. But anyway.
Mother effer.
Thank you for that. The Guns cut a promo backstage, and Bart sounds like he's a stuttering moron. He was just... You don't get the actual, the appreciation for how bad Bart Gunn was on the mic until you watch this. Owen did...
But he can legit kick your ass, though.
Oh, I'm sure. Yeah, he could. Unless your name is Butterbean, then he'll rock your world. But Owen did... Let's see, this match went on for 9 minutes, 42 seconds. Owen did 90% of the work. I'd say a good 8 minutes worth of the work. And then I might be lowballing it. But either way, Yokozuna would just come in once in a blue moon for 5 seconds, then tag out. When Yoko hits Billy with the bonsai drop, he literally drops his taint on Gunn's chin. I felt so bad for him. Owen teases the sharpshooter on Billy, and then just pins him. I was like, what did I just watch?
Crap.
Yeah, basically. Conclusion. The Guns were a great team. But, and Owen had his working shoes on. Not spectacular, but it was decent for what the hell it was. Yoko was blown sky high for a total of 2 minutes of in-ring action at most. 1 3/4 Uncle Dave's. And Uncle Dave actually gave this 2 stars. So he rated it higher than I did. Next, they catch a shot of the Stridex blimp flying over the crowd. My question was, why is a blimp needed in a mid-sized arena? Am I wrong?
For effect. I don't
guess.
know.
It looked weird. It had a camera in it, which had worse quality than their hard cam. It sucked. But next we go to Todd Pettengill, who's interviewing Bam Bam Bigelow. They're showing clips of his feud with Lawrence Taylor. And then Rowdy Roddy Piper is introduced as the special guest referee for the next match. A black dad is holding up his white son in the crowd. I don't know why. I just thought that was funny that they showed that in the crowd. Anyway, next we've got the amazing I Quit match. It was Bob Backlund versus Bret the Hitman Hart. Backlund comes.
God, I hope you're being sarcastic with that great.
What do you mean? This was fantastic. Backlund comes out with no music. The roof blows off for Bret Hart. He's massive over here. King asks Vince McMahon at one point, who did Bret beat at WrestleMania 8? And Vince yells defiantly, the British Bulldog. And King says, what? It was Roddy Piper. Vince McMahon didn't know what happened in his own company 3 years ago.
Well, he was in the middle of that steroid trial, WrestleMania 8, so.
Sure, we'll make that excuse. Oh, man. The first 2.5 minutes, Bret beat the tar out of Backlund. Finally, Bob makes a comeback and starts going from submission hold to submission hold. Bret eventually reverses the crossface chicken wing, locks in his own, and Backlund finally gives up. When Jim Ross interviews Backlund on the walkway, Bob is looking all crazy, and he says, I saw the light! And then he walks away. I don't know what the hell that was. Other than Backlund didn't take his... Yeah, other than the fact that Bob didn't take his pills that day. Final conclusion, it wasn't completely horrible, but not entirely exciting. Fairly boring. It had a big fight feel with Piper there, but that's literally where it stopped. Hardly any excitement. I gave it 2 3/4 Uncle Dave's.
Half a star.
Wow. You gave it half a star. Uncle Dave gave it 1 1/4 star. I apparently way overrated this 9.5 minute match.
It was garbage.
It was not exciting. Nick Turturro is backstage again, and he tells Vince that they can't find Pamela Anderson anywhere, so they made some, quote, celebrity changes. Whatever the hell that's supposed to mean. Then Todd Pettengill interviews Diesel backstage, who just just talks about how he's going to prove that he's the best and he's going to kill Shawn Michaels. Pretty straightforward promo. And next, we go to the best match on the card by default, and it wasn't a bad match, so don't take that as me burying it, but just when you've got so much other crap on the show, this by default is the best. It is the World Heavyweight title match. Jonathan Taylor Thomas is introduced as the special guest timekeeper, and Nicholas Turturro is the special guest ring announcer. Hooray. Then finally, we get Shawn Michaels coming out with Jenny McCarthy and Psycho Sid, and Diesel comes out with Pam Anderson. She's here. They're here. I mean, she's here. Sorry, I was more excited.
Shut up.
Sorry. But anyway, for Diesel being the, quote, lowest drawing champion in history, the crowd sure lost their crap for him. He seemed pretty damn over. Michaels got body
Did he
dropped.
come out of a box?
He should have. Damn well should have, man. But Michaels got back body dropped outside of the ring before Pamela Anderson even comes in. And then Diesel poses with her, and then the pyro blows up. That's what I mentioned earlier about we'd see that again with the click. HBK plays keep away through the first few minutes of the match, but Diesel usually gets the better of him. Shawn works Diesel's ribs most of the match. Earl Hebner twists his ankle jumping outside, and then Michaels hits sweet chin music and covers Diesel, but Hebner can't make the count. Finally, Sid throws Hebner into the ring, and Diesel kicks out at 2. Sid pulls out a freaking pocket knife, and he cuts the top turnbuckle pad off the corner.
Why not? He's a bodyguard.
Yikes.
He should be armed at all times.
When you look like that, why do you need a knife?
But it's surprising he doesn't have a pair of scissors on him. But
Oh God, wow. You went there. But when your name is Psycho Sid, I guess why wouldn't you have a knife on you? I'm gonna cut a fool. But anyway, Diesel slingshots Shawn, but Shawn goes into
a fool.
Shawn goes into the he goes into the second buckle. Diesel hits a jackknife, sort of. Shawn literally flips and lands on his ass.
Yep.
Diesel, Kevin Nash in interviews has said this was Shawn Michaels' way of making him look bad, and he said Shawn could have given himself a power bomb and made it look better. Diesel gets.
That was rough.
Yeah, it was the worst looking sell of a power bomb I've ever seen. Diesel gets the win. Michaels doesn't take much time to sell that jackknife. He gets right the F up and gets the hell out of there. All the ringside celebrities come in and pose and celebrate with Diesel. Yay!
Diesel must pose.
Yeah. My final conclusions. The match was pretty good for being a little guy taking on a big guy. Diesel's selling was pretty great. I don't think he gets enough credit for that. Shawn now clearly has stakes to the WWF title. That is coming later, I assume, but we'll cover that in future episodes. I gave it 3 3/4 Uncle Dave's. Uncle Dave gave it 4 stars. So we're similar.
That's shocking.
Yeah, he 4 stars. I mean, it was a good match, but damn. Total time was 20 and a half minutes. So had some good time. It was by far the longest match on the card. We now go back to Todd Pittengell. He's interviewing Shawn Michaels and Psycho Sid backstage, and Michaels says that he should be the WWF champion, and he shows the replay of Hebner not being there to count. And then Michaels says that he proved he's the best, and if he has to, he'll prove it again. Then next, you ready for the main event, Greg?
Hell yeah.
This was not a main event anywhere in the world, but it was something.
That's a main event in Connecticut.
No, what's that saying, though? Salt and Peppa are standing on the stage next to the entrance ramp. We already talked about they cut their performance out because apparently they don't have rights to the music. Let's see.
Yeah, that hurt me.
Oh, I know, right? They have that one song that they can play over and over. The $1 Million Corporation is introduced one by one. Nikolai Volkov comes out looking goofy as hell, wearing a tuxedo t-shirt. They all jog to the ring, and Ted looks like he hasn't jogged in years. I hate to say that, but yeah, he just, I don't know, he looked out of shape and weird at this point. LT's All-Pro team are then introduced. It's Ken Norton Jr., Chris Spielman, Ricky Jackson, Carl Banks, Steve McMichael, who the crowd blows their crap for. I don't know why. He was a bear, and they're in Connecticut. And Reggie White. Then Salt and Peppa dance all the way through their entrance. One by one, the football players knock the $1 Million Corporation off the apron, making them look like jabronis. Which they kind of were. But that's beside the point. By the way, where was Virgil at this point? You know?
What is this, 95?
Yeah.
No clue.
Yeah, because he wasn't in WCW yet as Big Vince, and he wasn't here. I don't know. Maybe he was getting autograph or giving out autographs outside the Walmart. I don't know.
Oh my God!
Maybe I don't know. Maybe he was trying to get a free Olive Garden dinner that night. I don't know. He had better places to be.
I can't believe you said that.
I just buried the hell out of him.
Each got one in.
I just buried the hell out of Virgil. Should I feel bad about that?
Hell no.
Yeah, I was going to say, I don't, so whatever. I guess it's time we talk about the actual match here. It's Bam Bam Bigelow versus Lawrence Taylor. Wrestler versus football player. Was this a lumberjack match, or were they just standing around the ring?
Yeah, just standing around the ring.
Okay. Well, special guest referee was Pat Patterson. I don't know why. Maybe to help LT limp through the match. In case anything went wrong.
That's my guess.
Yeah. Because it wasn't really, like, advertised or, like, really built up or anything like that. They made mention of it a couple times. The crowd...
That reminds me real quick. Somebody didn't mention that baseball was on strike during this.
Baseball?
And, yeah. And I think the referee of The Undertaker and King Kong Bundy match was the actual MLB umpire.
Oh, yeah. I think that was the match that...
This may be a record, by the way. 3 guest referees at one WrestleMania.
Yeah. I think that was the match that Bruce Pritchard was talking about where the guy was, like, trying to, like, he was trying to tell The Undertaker, he's like, well, since I'm an umpire, you know, that's my gimmick, so I'll come up and, like, you won't break when I tell you to, so I'll chest bump you. And Taker's like, no, you're not. And then he told like, Pritchard and all them later, he was like, I swear to God, if he chest bumps me during this match, I'm killing him. And so they had to tell him to cool it. I'd be afraid of The Undertaker. But anyway, the crowd blows their stack for LT. I guess he was the one they paid for, paid to see. He comes out to some weird jazz music. There's a lot of jabber-jawing to start this thing, and then LT goes in hard with some knee strikes, punches, and a clothesline to Bam Bam out of the ring. Bam Bam tries to ambush LT. LT dodges and nails a bulldog before picking him up and punching the tar out of him. Them punches looked real. They did not look like working punches. There's almost a confrontation between the football players and the $1 Million Corporation outside. Then Bam Bam finally gets control of the match. LT gets control back, and then Bam Bam cuts him off. LT finally hits a high and tight-looking back suplex. Looks like he about killed Bam Bam. But Bigelow gets up again and cuts him off. LT looks like he's blown just sky high at this point.
I get it.
It wasn't intended to be a double entendre when I wrote it, but it is. That reminds me, kids, don't do drugs. But yeah, he looks like he's just sucking wind hard. Bam Bam hits his moonsault, but it is the ugliest looking moonsault ever. It's more of just like a... It's less of a moonsault and more of like a cartwheel in midair. But it looks like he lands on frickin' Taylor's head. But LT kicks out, and Bam Bam looks like he's hurt for some reason.
Kicked out, damn.
But Bam Bam looks like doing his own moonsault hurt him.
Well, you said it was ugly.
Yeah, it was. LT comes off the ropes and nails a gut-wrench suplex. After a while, Bam Bam cuts him off with a jumping enziguri. Keep in mind, Bam Bam Bigelow is massive, and he hit a jumping, unassisted enziguri. He was awesome. Let's see. LT comes back with some forearms and then a shoulder that looked painful as hell. He then hits a huge clothesline and a flying forearm. Then comes off the second rope with a flying forearm to get the pinfall victory. The football players then all come into the ring, and they lift LT up on their shoulders, and then LT's kids get in the ring, and he celebrates with them. Oh, man. My final conclusion was LT was clearly blown up, and he had to be helped by his buddies to the back. And Bruce Pritchard...
This is a defensive end, by the way.
Yeah, think about that. And he was in great shape. Bruce Pritchard said when he got to the back, they had to give him oxygen. That's bad. Taylor wasn't terrible, but not the best celebrity wrestler ever. Should have never been the main event of WrestleMania, in my opinion. I gave it 1.5 Uncle Dave's. And it went for 11 minutes, 42 seconds. Now, that's my rating, 1.5. Uncle Dave gave it 2 3/4 stars.
Wow.
Yeah.
That's uber generous.
That's insane. What would you give it if you had to rate it?
Maybe 1.
Wow, you rated it less than I did. I at least bumped it up 0.5.
It sucked, man. It was brutal to watch.
I
will say this, though. LT was a lot better than he should have been, but
yeah,
not saying much.
He looked like a guy who has never wrestled before. And when you're in the main event of WrestleMania, that's not good. And like I said, we've mentioned...
Why does he get a WrestleMania main event right away and Ronda Rousey doesn't?
Beats the hell out of me. Here are my final conclusions here. Like I said, Vince's commentary was brutal, as always. His unnatural laughing sounded just as bad as Seth Rollins' heel laugh. Ha ha ha! It was weird. The multiple celebrities getting so much screen time just seemed like it was way too much. With the most popular New York giant out there being in the main event, why wasn't this show in New York?
I know.
They were in effing Connecticut.
That's close enough, I guess.
Sure. We'll go with that. That just seemed like an obvious. I don't know. This show sucked.
I hate saying this, but why Bam Bam?
Poor guy. Well,
he was in a tag team tournament, bro. At the Royal Rumble, all of a sudden he's in the main event of WrestleMania.
I know, and he took the pin at Royal Rumble after falling off the top rope. He didn't even take a move. He fell, and he got pinned. And now
he was down for a long time before he got pinned, too.
I know. Freaking, I could have had a smoke in the time waiting for him. He looked like such a dork. And I like Bam Bam. He should have been much more than he was, in my opinion. But at this point, he was not a superstar. Why was he main eventing WrestleMania with Lawrence Taylor?
Because reasons.
This match should have been in the middle of the card. Hell, I'll say put this match before the title match, even. Sure, whatever. Just a nice little novelty. But this was, imagine, what WrestleMania was that it was Mayweather and Big Show? Was that 23?
24.
24, okay. Imagine that. Closing the show. Just imagine it.
Do I have to?
Just what the freaking hell? 1995 strikes again.
And we're only in pay-per-view number 2.
Mm-hmm. Well, yeah, let's actually look. Think about this, Greg.
Just think SummerSlam's coming up.
Don't remind me. Think about this, Greg. Undertaker and Edge, that goes first. Main event, Mayweather and Big Show. That's closing the show, damn it. They literally did the reverse of WrestleMania 11 at WrestleMania 24 because it was Mayweather and Big Show What?
They probably recognized their error.
Yeah, because
Give them a break.
it was
Hey, they corrected it. Give them some credit.
Yeah, I am for not being so stupid. It was almost identical because it was Mayweather and Big Show in a match that went 11 minutes 40 seconds. LT versus Bam Bam went 11 minutes 42 seconds. And then the title match, which was an amazing match between Undertaker and Edge, closed the show at 24 minutes. And Diesel and Shawn was 20 and a half minutes. So they were like, we're going to do WrestleMania 11, but flip it. And then we're going to make the undercard.
Damn good, though, too.
Yeah.
WrestleMania 11 just sucked.
Well, I was about to say, it's like, we're going to do WrestleMania 11, but flip it, and the undercard is not going to suck. Speaking of undercards suck, we're moving on. Next week, it is going to be In Your House. We're in your house. Number one.
And they're giving away a house.
They are. I forgot about that until I started watching that damn show. They're giving away a freaking house on this,
which has now been foreclosed on, by the way. True story.
That's the best part of this whole thing. But yeah, so that's that. In your house, they were trying to bribe you to watch their crap show by giving you a house in Florida. But that's
in the hurricane season.
It gets better. It gets better.
You can't make this up.
Holy hell. But anyway, we'll get into just all of the epicness that was In Your House 1. And we'll follow it up with well, wait, when was that? Because the WCW event, that was May. Was the other one? Okay, so I think
what? The first In Your House?
Yeah, so that was June.
It's in May as well. It's in May.
Oh, okay. Well, either way, 2 May shows. In Your House, and then we'll also be covering Slamboree 95, a Legends reunion.
And look at some of the matches on there. It's
well, real quick, I see this right off the bat and just makes me even more excited. Eric Bischoff is filling in on commentary for Tony Schiavone, who took time off to undergo neck surgery. So, hooray! I love Eric, but he's no Tony Schiavone. But what's that saying?
Look at some of the matches, though.
Well, real quick, some of the legends on the card that they are inducting into the WCW Hall of Fame, which lasted very long. Big John Studd, Gordon Sully, Dusty Rhodes, Antonio Inoki, Terry Funk, Angelo Poffo, and Wahoo McDaniel. Okay.
Yeah.
Yeah, the matches. God dang. I'm just looking at why. The Nasty Boys and Harlem Heat again. It's Road Warrior Hawk in a singles match. Sting and Big Bubba Rogers again. Wahoo McDaniels versus Dick Murdoch. Why?
Because it's 1972, apparently.
Oh my gosh. And then Kevin Sullivan versus the Man with No Name.
Hell yeah.
Who you may know better as... Well, what should we call him today? Big Brother Booty?
Sure.
He went by that at one point, by the way. Brother Brutai, Brute Force. These are all real, by the way. The Clip Master. Dizzy Hogan. Ed Boulder. I assume that's because Hulk Hogan used to go by Terry Boulder. Eddie Hogan. The Mariner. What? God, I'm done. I'm done.
No, you're not. There's a lot more.
Yeah, there are. I'm just gonna let it go.
Brutus the effing barber beefcake.
I like how his future gimmick that's coming soon, we'll get to, he was billed as from the land of yin and yang.
he was like black and white too.
Yeah, but the F is that. Keep in mind, by the way, in that gimmick, he was featured for a couple seconds in the movie Mr. Nanny. For what that's worth.
That was a classic, man. I want to go watch that. Watch right now.
Yeah, turn it on. Hey, for all of you, if you're all done, we're wrapping up the podcast. Turn on Mr. Nanny right now. I thoroughly recommend that movie. It's because, okay, I'm going to say this. I watched it as a young child, and I loved it because I'm like, hell, Hulk Hogan's in a movie. I like it. As an adult, I thought, I'll watch it again just to see what it's like. And I was just like, I wanted my money back, and I watched it for free. I wanted the direct phone number for Hulk Hogan so I could cut a promo on him about how much I hated this movie and how much I wanted my money back, hoping that he would mail me a check.
It didn't work for him, brother.
Yeah. That movie didn't work for me, brother. God dang, that movie was awful. The main villain had apparently crushed his skull, so he had like a metal plate head thing that when you made loud noises, it rattled and gave him a migraine. Not making this up. This was real.
You can't make
this is real.
Up.
Yeah. This was no Suburban Commando, I'll say that. Which wasn't exactly a 5-star classic, but...
You know who goes commando? Naked Midian.
I thought you were going to say the Booty Man, which would also be true. But, yeah. Naked Midian goes in the buff.
Got it in there.
Yeah, well, we'll be seeing Naked Midian's, what was he, his kayfabe cousin?
Yeah.
Later on this year. That's another callback to one of the watch-alongs we do this week. Go check it out on the YouTube page. It's Christmas themed.
Before you watch it, we should warn you. Don't watch it.
No, do watch it. Pull up your WWE Network. You will. Well, I'm not going to say you won't regret it because odds are that you will regret it. But it's fun. It's funny.
The odds are in your favor.
They are. Yes. It's just bad. But anyway, go watch those on the YouTube channel, like I said, for a deeper dive into Uncensored 1995. If, this one here didn't satisfy you, and I don't know why it wouldn't have, because we already spent entirely too much time on that damn show. Go check it out on YouTube. Thank you all, by the way, for our new watchers, listeners, etc. And go buy yourself some swag. shop.spreadshirt.com/podcast-wrestling-society or redbubble.com/people/pod-res-society. Thank you for joining me today, Greg.
Yeah. Thanks for making me miserable.
This was effing brutal. And it was a long one, but there was a lot to get into, especially with WrestleMania. And we will see you all next week. Later.
Later.
This has been a Drama City production.